Hello. How is everyone today? I hope that you guys will join me tonight. It feels like it's been forever since I've been live with you guys. And we have quite a few things we have to do tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know people will be jumping in, so I'll go ahead and choose some colors while I'm waiting. And then we will be able to get started when people pop on. So, I think, where is everyone? I'm just kidding. Everyone hung over from last night? Is that where everyone is? I hope everyone had a happy new year. Happy new year. Happy New Year makes everything fun. So, somebody popped on, say hi when you're here so I can see the comments and know that you're here. And I can say hello to you. So, anywho, okay. So, this is a blast from the past. Pun definitely intended. This was one of the first stamp sets that we put out, and I wanted to use it tonight for the project that we're going to be working on because it works for two separate things. So tonight we're going to do a double Z fold card, if I know how to say it. And I learned this specific technique from my friend Sandy McFarland, so I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to give you the measurements and everything as well. But also, we are going to be satisfying the Craft Roulette. Hey, Dale. We're going to be satisfying the Craft Roulette for today. So as soon as the video is over, I have to upload to Craft Roulette so that I can be submitted for this week. So we're kind of doing a whole lot of stuff all at in one shot. So these are the Craft Roulette, what do they call them? These are the parameters. Thank you, Dale. So the parameter is double Z is the project, Rudolph is the colors, optimistic is the element, and plain circle or circles is the random. So we're going to satisfy all of these, and we're going to create a card. So we have to color. We're going to do the rocket ship and the astronaut tonight. So I have them out on my desk, already cut them out so we wouldn't have to worry about it. And I also cut out the sentiment. So basically we're just going to get rolling into the coloring and start getting that part done. And I'll start with skin because there's not a lot of people here right now, and they'll probably pop in as the evening goes on. And I want to give them a chance to be able to see some of the stuff that they might not know how to do. But I've done skin like a bunch of times, so we'll do that. Now I'm going to do it super light because I definitely want I want to cover over it with the gray to show it's a helmet. So I'm going to do the skin a little bit lighter than I normally do. So I'm going to start off with E000 for the skin. And I'm just going to get that basically that skin tone in there with the E000 just to wet the paper and get it ready for what we're going to do. Now we're not going to do the hands or anything like that because we're going to put gloves on him tonight. So we're not going to do his hands in skin tone. So it's just the face and neck, and that's all we have to worry about for right now. I'm going to use E13 as my shadow color. So I'm just going to put wherever I think the shadow would be, although it's, you know, going to be shadowed a lot because it's a helmet and the cover is down. So we'll get to that part here in a little bit, but we got to get all the basics done first, and then we can move on to the special effects. Okay. So, yeah. So if people decide that they want, we could, since I wasn't live on Tuesday and Dale did the live, if you guys want to, win the card, we can add that to it as well. So R12, it's a little bit dark, so I'm going to put it on a little bit early so I can cover it up and we won't have too much blush on this little guy. And then I'm going to use E11 to move out a little further from where our shadow area is, keeping that a bit dark right up there by the hairline. I figured that'll make it easier. And we're also going to go over a little bit of this pink for the cheeks for now. And there we go. And I think what we're going to do is we're also going to do just a little bit on that nose, kind of to give it so it stands out a little bit more. And then I'm going to go on to E21 and then E00. So E21 is just going to be finishing off the ears and the neck and a little bit heavier on the shadow area to deepen that up a little bit. And then under the eyes and where that cheek color is. I'm also going to make sure I go all the way around the outside with that as well. And then I'm going to use the last color, which is E00, to finish that up. Hey, Taz. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up with my E00 because, like I said, I want this to be pretty light skin because we're going to go over it with gray to make it a helmet. So I'm not really focused on the detail of the face simply for that reason. So we're moving along kind of quick with that. So if you would like to win the card tonight, I was only doing this through December, but since I missed Tuesday night, I'm going to offer tonight's card. If you want to win tonight's card, you just need to type in the comments star. And then if you type in the comments star, you could win the card. If you're the only one who's here, then you win. Haha. So bonus for you. Let's see. I used all these colors. I got to keep my colors separate so I can make sure I know that I'm using them. I know that I have them so I can put them on YouTube when I upload this to YouTube after the fact. So I'm going to do a lot of gray and white and black. I'm going to add, and red, gray, what I say, gray and white and black, and red, because I'm trying to stick with the criteria of Craft Roulette, which says my colors need to be Rudolph colors. So I'm kind of trying to stay in that realm of colors. But I think I might also add a bit of a brownish color. Hey, Tammy, like E44, 43, and 42. But I'm trying to do the project for tonight, the Double Z card fold for Craft Roulette. So kind of a little bit of everything tonight. So it's just a lot of fun. And then the ending result will be given away. If you type star in the comments, you'll be in the drawing. So make sure you do that if you're interested. I'm going to go a little bit simple on the hair. I'm going to do it brown because Rudolph would be brown, 29, 27, 25. So I'm going to go ahead and do his hair with those colors. And like I said, I am going to put the gray colors over top of him. So, because he does have a helmet on. But you don't really have to do that. It's not about that. People aren't going to go, oh, there's a helmet, but you can see everything. But for tonight, I want to kind of do that, you know? Just kind of give that shadow effect of the helmet. So I think I've colored him before and I didn't do that. I think I used glossy accents on it, which is pretty cool. And you can see that on our YouTube as well. If you really like it, this is a bit of a blast from the past. This is our release back from June, but I love it so much and I thought it was perfect for tonight. So that is why we are doing that. Thank you for saying hi. I am struggling with unsure whether I'm seeing comments or not, but since you said hi, I know that they're visible. It's just everybody's quiet. So I'm gonna just add a bit of this 27 in there to make it look like hair. So I'm just doing random brush strokes further down than where I put the first set. And this is kind of, normally I go really slow. This is going to be kind of a quicker color because I am going to put that gray over top. I don't want to focus too much on something you won't be able to see that well. So that's why we're whipping through this section of the coloring pretty quick and not using a lot of stuff. Making a Christmas book and watching. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Make sure you type the word star if you want to win the card, the finished card. That's what the word star is for. E25 is the last color. I probably should have went to 23, but that's okay. And so I'm just going to touch in those areas where the white is so that it will still show those brush strokes I did earlier. And then this 25 will look like highlights. So that is the plan. That is what I'm doing right now. And then I'll give you the measurements for the card we're going to make as well. All right, there we go. And I'm going to hold these out because you never know. I might use them again. All right, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my red on the helmet. I'm going to use it on other stuff, but I want to do just a little bit of it right now. So I'm just going to do this little stripe. And the reason I'm starting with red, but I'm not doing everything I want to do red, I'm also going to do these side panels over here. So just the little ones on the side. Is because I'm going to use black, and I'd rather have the black in the red in there before I do the black. So that's why I'm doing red, but only on the helmet for now. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the whole outfit red, but I want to do the black stuff first. Because if I drag the red into the black, you won't be able to see it. But if I drag the black into the red, you will. So I want to make sure I try to keep the colors in that kind of order so that I don't have to worry about not touching the red or the black area. I don't really have to worry about it. All right. So next I'm going to work on his helmet with the black color. So I'm going to go all the way as far as C10 for the inside. So this is the back of his helmet. So I'm going to go ahead and make that the darkest color. So it's going to be all C10 because that is the inside of the helmet. And it would all be dark like that. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit on the outside with this C10, so just these lower sections right here. And then we're going to move on to the next color. So I'm going to move on to C8. Hey, Beth, here's your code for tonight for the card if you want to win. I'm doing it tonight. I know I said only December, but I wasn't here on Tuesday, so I'm doing it today. Okay. This is the C8, and I want it to look like this round part kind of stands out. So I'm going to put deep real close to the edge of that. And then I'm going to come along this right here and sort of brush out from there. Kind of make it look like that red is a little bit raised up because it's so dark right next to it. That's kind of my plan. I don't know how well it'll come across, but at least you know what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do. I was saying earlier, it's crazy. I feel like I haven't been on in a long time. And I'm sorry about Tuesday. I had to go help my brother with something, so. Next we have C7, and he lives 5.5 hours from me, so C7 is the next color. I think normally I like to do this whole outfit in a lighter gray color. So that's why tonight I was like, maybe I'll go a little bit darker. We'll just do something a little bit different tonight. I'm going to make this air pack and stuff on the back. Probably a lighter color, but I want his shoes to be dark and probably his straps. And then his outfit will be red. So, and we're doing that because we're also capturing all the Craft Roulette parameters, and the colors are Rudolph. So I'm going to make sure I stay with the Rudolph-ish colors. So I think I'm going to finish off that helmet with C6. Here like this. I'm just going to go back and forth, kind of blend that color together so it still leaves a little shine on that side, but gets me a smooth look. There we go. Perfect. You like the darker gray? Hey, thanks. I'm excited. I wasn't sure which way I would go. I think on the cover I colored it with the lighter gray like that. But I do kind of like the darker gray. I agree. I think I really like the darker gray. So I'm going to go back to my C8 so that I can start doing some down here. And I think I'm going to do his gloves black too. So I'm going to start getting some of this in here in this color. And I think maybe this part around his neck will probably be black as well. So I would want to do what's inside the helmet and what's outside the helmet. So this big thing that goes around his neck is what you're seeing inside and outside. So I want it to be dark in both places. And then these straps, I'm going to do a little bit of this dark color before and after them. Just because they'll be all buckled up. The helmet stands out. It's true. It's a really good point. So, right here, because we definitely want him strapped in. We don't want him like floating off the moon and stuff, you know. So we got to make sure he's got all his little straps on. And he's well taken care of. We want him to come back home safe. We are going to use the Interstellar paper pack that we have in the shop. So you'll get to see what that looks like if you haven't seen it already. But it's pretty fun. It's got really cool colors. He's got like his moon boots on. They're so cool looking. So his boots will stand out, and we want to give him gloves. I mean, I'm pretty sure his hands probably wouldn't be without gloves, so we're going to make sure that happens. And I want to draw his attention away from his air backpack and tubing and stuff. So we're going to color that a lighter color. So C7 is next. So again, going back to the things I've already colored with the darker color and just extending out a little bit further to get that color in there. Now inside here, again, it's all going to be very dark in there because it is part of his helmet. And it's all in shadow in there. And then these small pieces over here, I'm going to finish those off. The little straps on the side, because they're very small. And then this I'll give one more color to. And same with his boots. His boots will get more than these two colors as well. But I do want to keep them pretty dark, so I'm not going to lighten them. I'm not going to put too many lighter colors in there. Just a few. Oh, I almost missed his hand. And because you can see like the lines from his fingers, I want that bottom part of his hands to be a much lighter color. So we're not going to put that color in there just yet. C6 is next. That's the one that I'm going to start completing these areas with, because we're going to keep them pretty dark. When we get ready to go with a lighter color, we're going to start with C6 or C5 and then add colors after that. So that it'll be a much lighter color. With the exception of the hands, I may go one step lighter with the hands than this C6. I may go to C5 for the hands. But not the boots. We can put the white gel pen on the boots for shine if we need it. There we go. All blended out nice and smooth and cute. We'll go ahead and extend on the hands, and then I'm going to go around the little knuckles, leaving that highlight area for the next color. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just getting that color in there. All right, and the next one, C5, to finish off the hands. There we go. See, that way we can still see the artist lines in there for the hands. So you can tell they're gloves. How do you do the shine? When you use the white, I can't do it right now because I'll stick my hand in it and smear it, but I just put the white gel pen on there. Or if you really want to, you can use the colorless blender to do it. So I can show you. Like, you take the colorless blender, and instead of using a white gel pen, you just make that line where you want that highlight to be. And you get the same effect as the white gel pen. You see how you can do that? Sometimes, if the color's really dark like it is right now, you'll have to do it a second time, because see how the ink kind of feeds back into it? So you just wait for it to dry and you do it again. Or you could use a white colored pencil to get the same effect, but you can get it without using, and there we go, without using the white gel pen. But that's how I put the shine on there. But you can do it either way. Do whatever way works best for you. You love that? Yeah, it works out great, and you don't have to worry about sticking your finger in it and messing it up, which is what I do. So this is my zipper area for holding that outfit together. So I'm using C5 for that, just so I can get that color in there. And then I'm also going to use it on a few of these little buttons and gadgets and gizmos he has on his shirt. But I'm also going to use a little bit of green and red on there. I just want to get a few of these colors in here to make sure that there's some color in there. I'm going to use C3 to finish those little parts out, like the zipper and the little button areas, because I want to keep them fairly light. So there we go. That starts to get it going. Now we also have to do like that that tubing around the back. So I'm going to start with C6, and I'm going to do where the tubing folds. I'm going to build in some there so it looks like it's actually twisting around. And I kind of gave you the lines on there so you'd know what the intent was. And then here's the back part of the oxygen that he needs so he can survive in space. C5 is next. So I'm going to do around the edge over here. And then I'm going to do a little bit on these little areas, and then I'll come in with an even lighter color to blend that out. But that, when I come in with the lighter color, it'll leave a highlight in that area. If it doesn't leave enough, you can always go in with the colorless blender and lighten it up a little bit. Because for those who don't know, a colorless blender, that's what it's called, but that's not what it does. It doesn't help you blend the ink, it pushes the ink out of the way. So it's good for coloring outside the lines or making a mistake or whatever. Now that these shoes has dried on the shoes, I need to put it a little bit more on this side. And then I'll touch this one more time. And then there we go. Super simple. A fun, easy little way to make it look really cute. Okay, so I'm going to do with C3, and I'm going to come from the outside towards that dark area just so I can keep it as light as possible. And then I'm going to blend out the little oxygen tanks. Well, there's really only one, but you know what I mean. One on each side. There we go. And then I also want to start adding a little bit around his face on this. And I think I'm just going to stick with one color for right now. We need to do his eyes before we cover up his face. So we got to wait on that for a minute. Okay, let's see. So for his patches, we have to put something on for his patches. So since Rudolph would have probably some bells around his neck, I'm going to work on using like a goldish color for some of the accents on here. Just because of that. And I'll also do it on his rocket ship. So I'm going to use Y28. It's kind of a brownish gold. Not that. That's our flag colors. So I'll be using the flag colors. The red with a touch of blue in there. But these patches, I'm going to make them gold. So he's going to be red and gold. He's going to look awesome when he gets done. And I'm going to make this panel on the front because it's really important. This is where he controls everything. So we're going to make that gold as well. And it's not going to be a bright, shiny gold. It's going to be kind of a brush gold because he wouldn't be bright and shiny if he's working. Y26 is the next color I like to use. And sometimes I put in YR23 if I want it to be really bright, but I leave that out if I want it to be duller. Duller, that's probably not a word. If I want it to be more dull, then I'm not going to use that. And I want it to be more like a brushed brown gold, so I'm not going to add that bright color to it. But if you're trying to pick a gold color, I like to add YR23, a little bit of that to it. It makes it a little bit brighter and kind of brings a little more of that yellowish color. but I like this one, so we're going to stick with this. The last one I use for that is Y32. It's not a bright yellow, but it's enough to get it looking a little bit more on the shiny side and a little bit less on the dull side. So we're just going to use a little bit of it. And it looks like I got something on my markers, so I'm going to actually wipe that just to make sure that I don't have, like, usually it doesn't stain your marker, so I must have colored something with the black and then forgot to wipe it off. It's getting a lot better now. See? It was really dark, and I don't want to wipe any of that blackish color into my project, so I wanted to make sure that it was wiping clean, and it is, before I finish that part up. So far, so good. I like it. Oh, you know what we should do is the buckles. So I'm just going to use Y26 for this. It'll keep them a little bit darker than the rest, but definitely help them to be seen. Too small an area to use more than one color. And sometimes if you go over the center part of the black with the color you're doing the white part, it just makes it darker. So I just like the way it looks. So that's a trick you can do too. I mean, you are coloring on black, but it still looks good. Okay, I'm going to need my C1 because I think I'm going to make these red and white. So I'm going to start with white on the bottom. And I'm just going to go every other one. So there's really just 2 to do. And then I'm going to use my C00 just to finish those 2. And then we'll do the other 2 in red. So we'll use R46 because that's my favorite. Red. And we'll do the other 2 stripes. That way we'll have red and white stripes. We won't have any blue, but that's okay. And then R24 just for a little bit lighter red so it stands out. And there we go. And then I think I'll put this red in here. This is his stop button. Like, woohoo, watch out. Make sure you don't touch that wrong. And then I'm going to grab just one green marker that's just like a regular kind of green. Like, let's see if G07 does the green the way I want. Yeah. And we're just going to put green in here and green here. And then I'm going to put this Y32 in the center. I'm going to put red, yellow, green. Because why not? It's fun that way. And my red, I'm going to use R24. And that'll just get my buttons done. You don't have to do a lot of accent on the buttons. They're so small, it's not going to matter. So now we're down to just his outfit left. And then we go to the rocket ship. So I'm going to start with the R89. And I'm going to put in my shadow colors, and I'm going to try really hard not to go into any of the gold or any of the other colors. Now for the little accents, I'm going to add them in with this color. And then for the cuffs down here, I want them to stay pretty dark. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in them already. And then this shadow area right here. And up here, just where everything's shadowing his arms. And then inside here, I'm going to do a little bit here and here. And then underneath his panel here. And there. And then I'm going to do underneath these straps a little bit. A little bit over here as well. Just going down a little bit here. I'm going to do this part right here. Don't worry, it'll all blend together. So it looks funny right now, but it'll be okay when we get done. A little bit underneath this panel that's on his leg. and then along the bottom. And that just kind of gets us some of that really dark color in there, because this is a really, really dark red. And then I'm going to add R29. So this one's going to get lighter, but not quite as light as the R46 and the R24. So I'll finish off the little cuffs. Start coming out from where I put that darker color. I'm going to get all of that done in. Any of these extra little tiny spaces are going to go ahead and get filled in right now. There's not enough room to do a whole bunch of more colors in there, so I'm okay with just 2. That's a personal preference, and you can do whatever works for you, but that's what I'm going to do. Any inker at Disney. You color better than any inker at Disney. Aw, thanks. That's so nice. Since you said that, I bet you're going to really like what we have coming up for release this month. It's not going to be for a couple weeks, but it's in the works, and I think you're going to love it. I'm super excited. It's what I was working on before I went live tonight. What is the next release? Because I have to submit it tonight so we can get it in time. Most of it is ready. I just have to finish coloring it, and I couldn't do it on the live because you guys can't see it yet. I'm sorry, not yet. But I can tell you, it's going to be cute. I like it. I'm excited. And then February, we've got something in store for you for February. I can't wait. February is a Dale request, but January was a combined effort. Okay, R46. This one's still going to be pretty dark, but it's more like a fire engine red. So I'm going to do a little bit with it, but not too awful much, because I want to leave space for that last color. I have quite a few things coming that are up my sleeve for new stuff for us, and I got to do it one step at a time. So be patient and keep in touch, and you'll be able to see it all. You can't wait to see Tammy. I think you're gonna love it. I do. R24 is our last color, so that's the one that we're gonna blend out. And of course, remember, it's quite a lot lighter than the other colors. So I'm going to work this line a bit so that it smooths it out. If you've watched my lives before, you've seen me do that. You can see it happen as it happens. I'll zoom in just a little bit more so you can really see it. So when I first take this color and go over, you can absolutely tell that it doesn't blend all the way. You see that? So I'm going to hold it up here when I do this because I want you to really be able to see this. So you kind of work this line. A little bit hard to do when I'm holding it, but you just kind of work the actual line. And then when you finish, it's all blended together and just leaves you a highlight. A little bit harder to do with my hand, but now you can see you get a great, nice blend. So you just have to work just a little bit. It takes a little bit of effort, but don't put the color on there and then think, oh, well, hers blends, but mine doesn't. It will. You just have to work it a little bit. Just don't give up. Don't just put the color on there and then just be like, oh, I'm done. Because then you would have something that looks like this. You would have all these, like, this is way lighter, that's way darker, this is way lighter. So what we do is we just kind of work those darker lines and just touch where the lines meet a few times until you see them start to blend. And once you see them start to blend, stop. Let them dry. And then try again if you need to. Hey, Rebecca. Yes, I am live right now. It's Thursday. Or at least I think it is. I don't know. My days are all confusing. You guys have done so much driving in the past couple of weeks. I went to Louisiana to see my mom-in-law. She's doing better. I know you guys knew she was here with me for a while. She's doing better, so we went to spend Christmas with her because, you know, we lost Dale's dad this year, so we didn't want her to be alone. We got to see my son. He came as well. And then when I got back, I had one day, and then I had to turn around and go to my brother's to help him, take him to the doctor's appointment that he had another surgery and he needed somebody to take him, so I had to go up there and take him. And then I drove back because Dale and I had tickets to a concert. So yeah, it was a bit on the challenging side to do all of that really quick, and I feel really tired, but your days are all off? Yes, I know. My days are all off too. I'm going to use this B97 for his eyes so I can stick with the blue and the colors from Craft Roulette. So, I see there's more people popping in now, so I'm going to recap while I'm coloring so you guys will know what I'm doing. I'm also going to grab B95. And I think I'll just finish his eyes off with B95. But tonight, I'm sticking with the new kind of card that I haven't done before. This one is a double Z fold, and I know I've done those before, but this one's going to be a little different than the last one. Big hugs for Dale's mom. Yeah, and I have been busy. It's been crazy. I'm going to leave this zoomed in a bit because I want you to be able to see how we cover the face so it looks like he has a helmet on. If you want to win the card, you got to type the word star. So everybody that's here. But we are doing the double Z fold card. The card is a giveaway because I wasn't here on Tuesday, so you guys missed out on a day. And we're doing this week's Craft Roulette that I have to submit tonight. So double Z project, Rudolph colors, optimistic element, and plain circle random. And that's why we're sticking with the colors that we're sticking with. Every treat questions when you're available. Oh, of course. Absolutely. Yes. We are very excited about the retreat. I will be doing some little sneak peek videos and such, so you guys will be able to see what's up and coming for the retreat. So I'm real excited about that. So now I'm going to take, and I'm going to use C2. I usually use C1, but I'm going to use C2. And what I want to do is I want to put a film over his face so it looks like he's actually has a helmet on. So don't freak out. I'm literally going to color completely over his face with this C2. Just like that. So you could see as it went that it dulled the color a little bit. I'm going to do a second coat real quick just to get that over there. And then I'm going to take the C3 and I'm going to add just a little bit extra around the edges to make it just a little bit darker around the edges. And then we'll go in with the C2 and blend anywhere that it was really dark. So I know I focused a lot on coloring his cute little face and then I covered it up. But you have to cover it up because otherwise it doesn't look like he's, you know, an astronaut. So when I hold it up, you can tell it definitely went to a grayish color. And that is the reason why we did that. So I am going to put the little whites in his eyes real quick so you can see them. But when they dry, I will be touching them with a grayish color as well. It is magical. I know I love to do that. I was really scared at first to do that, but now I'm not so scared. I'm going to use my white gel pen just for a few more like highlights. Like I'm going to put a little one on the top of his head. I'm going to put just a teeny bit on these sides. I'm going to kind of go along this area right here where I wanted it to show a little reflection. And then I'm going to do a little bit like on his little sleeves or the tops of his little belts. And then I'm going to do a bit on his hands just so it really stands out. And then that just gives us a little bit of highlight and a little bit of show. And look, the boots look the same as the rest of it. So you can do it with the colorless blender or you can do it with the marker. So I'm going to add a little bit like a little button on each one of these, just for a little bit of accent on there. So I feel pretty good with that. And we can let all of that dry and we'll work on the rocket ship, which is super easy and fast to color. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you'll be able to see. There. So you'll be able to see, but it's his rocket, and so I'm going to want it to be colored similar to him. So I'm going to try to stick with doing that. So I'm going to stay with these same colors that I have. Of course, I'll probably make this more smoke than fire just because I don't really want to put all the orangey colors in there. So just bear with me. We're going to sort of mix yellow and red to try to get our little fire rocket going on. But I do want the rocket ship to be red. So the accents are going to be black. So I'm going to go in with that C10 like we did with the dark areas on the other part. And I'm going to choose all of, actually we should probably do the red first. Because if I pull black into my red, I'm going to be so mad at myself. Okay, so let's start with C5. And with C5, we'll do the tip of the rocket ship. And then we'll do a little bit around the edge of the windows, just so we'll be able to get a little bit of shadow in there. And then these little areas right here, I'm just going to make them a lighter color than the rest. And probably this part right here. And the rest of them will be darker. So I'm going to grab a C3. And that I'm going to start blending that out. Again, the same way I did the red. I'm going to work those lines to make sure I get that smooth blend on there. I'm going to go just into the windows a little bit. And then around the edge. And we'll blend these out with a different color. But I just want to give that like a two-tone window look. And I'll finish these off with this color and probably this. And I got a little bit down here, but it's going to be red, so you're not going to be able to see it anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with my C1 for the rest of the windows. So I'm going to start from the top and go down so I don't drag that dark color into my window. Now again, the windows have those little lines that I was showing you earlier, and this is how I do it. I'm just going to touch along those lines till I start seeing it blend. And then that solves my problem. And if you want, you can do one last coat over it and you get a really good look. But that's how you make that blend happen if it doesn't happen naturally. Okay. So next, we're going to move on to our red. We could put a little bit of gold accent on here if we wanted to. Let's do that. Let's put just a little bit of that brushed gold on here. So Y28. I think I'm going to put it around the windows and around this thing right here. This is the rustic color, so I'm okay with putting a lot because I'll cover it up with the next color. This is the one that just brings in the depth. It's not necessarily doing the coloring for you, so... Ooh, let's put some in here too. Because, I mean, we're literally going to need to make this some kind of fiery smoke. So I'm just going to put some random in there. It's a great tip about dragging colors. Yeah, that's exactly. I do that all the time. It's a big technique I do a lot. Is that I come from a different angle depending on what I'm doing. So that is definitely one of my tricks of the trade for sure. So around the edge. And then we'll come in with that last color and kind of brighten it up a little bit. But for now, just brightening up that dull color with this one. And I'm just going to do a couple of streaks of this in that flame area. And then we're going to use the Y32 to blend that out. So I'm going to start with this part right here. And then I'm going to come back over here. I really want it to stay darker around the edge and lighter around this inside piece. So I'm trying to color it in that fashion to keep that lighter, just so it gives it a little bit of a textured look. So that is why I'm doing it that way. Probably need to replace this nib because that black spot on it's driving me crazy. I keep thinking it's going to give me some wrong color, even though it's not. And then these, I'm just going to completely blend them. I worked a little bit of more detail on the windows than down here, but I think this still, it's going to look dirty. It's in space, but I want the bottom part to be a little bit more of the yellow. So I'm going to start from the bottom and come up into that darker color. Now again, I'm telling you, I'm trying to stick with the colors for Craft Roulette, so I'm not going to be using orange. I'm going to be mixing the colors that I already have out. So I'm going to take that, you know what, I think I'm going to take that R12 I used on the cheeks because it's much, much lighter. And I'm going to start with that here over top of the, because I don't want to overpower the red area. I mean, the area with too much red. So start with the R12, and then I'm going to go to the R24 for this part right here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's got some color in it. I kind of like the R46 better, so I've decided to go back in with the R46. So it's a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take this R12 and I'm going to go over these and kind of drag some of that red into our yellow so that we get a fairly smooth yet looking like an explosive. It turned out great. I'm happy with how that turned out without having to use all of the colors that I would use for that. So that worked out great. That makes me happy. Okay. Next, we are going to use our 89 and we're going to start coloring our ship, but we want to leave these accent pieces to be black. So I'm going to start with this back part right here. And I think I'm going to make that part right there red too. And see, remember when I told you I got a little outside the lines right here? With that red, you're not going to be able to see it. So you don't have to worry about that. The Craft Roulette group is fun. It is fun. I watched it today from last week because I didn't have time to watch it because of all the traveling. And I was like, I bet I could incorporate that with the project I do tonight. And then I could do both things at once. When I first started doing Craft Roulette, I felt like it was so challenging that I didn't use the cards that I made because I was like, I don't know. I had to stick with the parameters and I couldn't think fast enough to get like really amazing projects out of it. But now I just try to incorporate that into something that I'm already doing so that I can use the cards. And it's fun. I like it. And they're a lot of fun. They're so talkative and fun and all the good things. Okay, so we're just putting some of those deep dark areas for this ship. And I'm just randomly picking them because honestly, it's not really in, it's kind of going to be in space, but it's not really there yet. So I don't really know where the shadow would be. So I'm just making it up now. If I was doing a scene that was really important about where the shadow was, I would be a little bit more careful, but that isn't really the intent of this card right now. I thought about making a, trying to incorporate the card for my daughter for her birthday, but the colors, the Rudolph colors, really wouldn't go with what I wanted to do for my daughter, so I'll just have to do that one later, maybe next week. The double Z fold looks hard. Well, we're going to do it, and I'm going to show you. It's not hard. It's really easy. I'll show you how to do it, and I'll give you the measurements that I use. There's so many different ways you can do it, so it's really not hard. And I have all the pieces right here. It won't take us that long to do it. That's going to be actually the easiest part. The coloring is what's going to take the longest. The card's going to be super easy. I mean, you can make it whatever size you want, but since I always do A2 cards, I just made mine A2. I don't make mine, I don't make mine in A7 or 8 or whatever. I don't even know what all the measurements are, but I don't make 5x7 cards. So it's a challenge when that gets drawn on Craft Roulette. It definitely makes me learn. And it helps me play around with different new things that I wouldn't normally do, which is why I like it so much. Plus, it's super fun when you get to be the guest. I love it. I told him I'm ready to do it again. It was so fun. So, yeah. And usually you only have until Sunday night to submit, but I'm a member of the group, so I have till Thursdays. So I did not miss it. Just going around the circles now. Kind of build that fence so I can color in with the other color. And it's getting me the red color that I want, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's going to be pretty neat with the blue colors that I have chosen for the card. So I hope. All right, we have two more colors. We have R46, which is really still pretty dark compared to the 29. So I'm kind of going to go over some of the 29 and just extend. And then the last color will be that 24, and we'll have to work some of the edges to get that blending really smooth, but it won't be hard. So I'm just dumping this color in there. I think I'll finish these off and keep those darker. There we go. And my flames came out okay. Oh, you like it? Yeah, I like it too. So R24, if you want to win it, you got to type the word star. I'll be doing the drawing after I take photos of it for Craft Roulette. And before I post it on YouTube, I will do the spin the wheel and see who wins. And right now, I'm pretty lucky because there's only like, I think I only saw 2 people say star. So you got a real good shot tonight. Problem is, by the time you see the card, you're going to be like, oh, I should have typed it. Because it's really cute. All right, here we go. So I'm going to be careful because I don't want to get any of this into that yellow. So first I'm going to lay that color down. And you'll be able to tell, maybe not as well on camera, but for me I can really tell that these lines are not smooth. In a minute I'll hold it up so you can see it. I can tell if you saw it up close, you'd be like, that's not what that looks like to me. So and then I'll work those areas. So when you hold it up close, see how you can see all the dark and all the lines in there and lines up there, and we just don't want that. So we're gonna work those. You love the red? This is one of my favorite red combinations. It is one of my favorites. I would use this for Rudolph's nose. Let's work this line right here. Both directions. Then we'll fill in between. And I'll hold it up again once I finish working these little lines so we get a really smooth color on our rocket here. All right, this side, we got to get this softened so it blends real well. Sometimes you can wash out your color doing this until you're experienced and you've done it enough. But don't worry, you can always add some darker color, or you can do it tip to tip so that it's not as dark and you won't have to do this, work the lines again. But a lot of times I don't talk about working the lines, but that's what I'm doing. When you see me go over it a couple of times in the same spot, I'm working the lines so they're smooth. I mean, you still want to be able to see the shadow, like see how it's darker up here and lighter down here, but you don't want to see a harsh line in there. You just want to see some blending. And you see that spot right there? That's because my marker was a little bit sticky when I first put it down. So I used this high polymer eraser and I just go over that spot when it's dry, and that usually takes care of it. If it doesn't, it looks like I can still see it. I gotta wet it first, smooth it out, and then I'm going to go in now with this color and it'll pick up that extra spot, and now there's no spot there anymore. So I would say make sure you have one of these eraser handy because it picks up that extra ink for you, and then you don't have to worry about that. But if it gets in a spot that you don't like right there, these are going to be black, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to grab my C10, and this is where it's going to, I think it's going to pop once we put this black on here. Because it's going to have that nice pop of color against the black. So I'm making the accents around here black because his outfit is black, and he's not going to be on the front with the rocket ship, but I still wanted them to match. He's going to be on the inside. This way. And along the edges. And then we definitely have to do these spots right here, which I think I'm going to get them, leave them all solid black so they really show up dark in there. And then we have one more, which is right here. I like color in this rocket ship. I don't know why. I didn't think it was going to be one thing that I really, really loved. You just need to come visit and teach me again. Yes, you need to come visit. I sent you an open invitation. I've not picked up my Copics in over a year. Oh, yeah, you need to come, and we need to check them out, too. Happy New Year, Barbara. Go color something tonight. I love that tip. Yeah, it's a fancy fold card. C8 is my other color, and I'm going to leave a little bit for maybe a highlight area. Watching me color might make you feel like coloring. If I watch someone else color, I want to color so bad I can't stand it. It's my happy place for sure. I mean, even tonight when I was drawing the artwork and, you know, getting the stamp set up and all that kind of stuff, I was like, man, I just want to color. I just want to color. So I was thankful for our live tonight. Don't forget to type the word star if you want to win this card. Yeah. Definitely. And the fact that I've been doing it for so long and it still gives me great joy, I know that I'm not going to stop coloring. There we go. So now we have this cool ship. We're going to put a little bit of the white gel pen on the ship as well. I'm going to move the markers I used for coloring off of my desk so we can do the card. I'm going to put, I always touch my finger with the marker just because I have fear it's not going to work, even though this one always does. I love this pen. So I'm going to definitely put a little bit on the windows, and then I'll probably do a little bit like right here, just so it looks like there's some shine to it, and maybe like along there. I don't want to put too much. I don't want too much to stand out on that, but I'm going to finish this Christmas mini and then you'll color. Okay, cool. Yay. Okay, so they match. Look how cute they look. They worked out really good. I am very happy about that. So I'm going to open this up. And these are the papers so that I chose. So they're part of the Interstellar collection, which looks like this, Interstellar. And I thought I could get away with it being Rudolph colors because you can see the northern lights where Rudolph is. So that's my reason, and I'm sticking to it for that color. And then here is what you need. So here I'm going to put the measurements and stuff. So if you want to take a picture, now is the time. So I'll hold it up real close. We'll go over each step. I learned this from Sandy McFarland. I usually write that down if I know who it was. But we need an 8.5 by 5.5 solid cardstock. That's going to be your bottom base. And then we're going to score it. I haven't scored them yet. And then you need one that's 7.5 by 4.5 solid, same color as above. And this is going to be the top Z fold. So the bottom Z fold is the base of the card, and the top Z fold is the one you're going to add. And then pattern paper, you need these sizes. So if you take a snap, you'll be able to see it. But I've indicated that this is the front panel with the mat, and then this is on top of the front panel, and then this is the left side, this is the right side, and this is the right side of the smaller Z fold. So I kind of gave you all the measurements and that. So if you take a snap, you'll be able to make it too. So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to put it down so we can work on the project. So I need to score these. I haven't scored them yet. So this larger piece is my 8.5 by 5. So I just took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and cut it down to 5.5. And then you take this one and you're going to put it on the 8.5 side because that's the longest, that's the card size. You know, we need to start folding all this together. So on with the 8.5 up against the top, you're going to take your little score tool and you're going to score it at 2 1/8. So 2 1/8 is right here. And then you're going to score it at 4 1/4. That's going to be the middle of your card, you know, because 8.5 and 11, half is 4 1/4. And then we're going to take that one off. We're going to pick this one up. This one only goes to 7.5. This is the smaller inset Z fold. And we're going to score this one at 2 1/8, same exact measurement. Oops, 2 1/8. Don't worry, we'll cover that up. 2 1/8 by 4 1/4. So it's kind of the exact same score line, see? For the bottom fold and the top fold, but the size of the paper is shorter. If I do this and go off on the wrong one, I usually turn it over and go over it again, and that just kind of puts it back in place so it's not as noticeable, see? And we're going to cover it with paper anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, okay, Tammy. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And then, all right, so now we have our papers. That's it. Now, I already cut our pattern papers, so on the instructions it said the front panel with the mat, that is going to be, I did it in white so you would see it. This is going to be the mat for the front panel. There's going to be an additional panel to this. So this one is the 4 1/4 by 3. It doesn't have to be white. I just chose white. And then we have one that's 4 by 2 3/4, so it fits like within. And then we have the left side of the base, so that's going to be this one. It's going to be on this side. I'll show you where in just a minute. And it's the one that's 5 1/4 long by 1 7/8. And then the right side of the base, which will be this one, is 4 by 5 1/4 by 4. And then the right side of the smaller Z fold, so this one, this is going to go on that one, just like that. So I gave you the sizes so you would be able to put them all together. But let's go ahead and fold it first, and then we'll start adding some color to it. I mean, some stuff to it. So I fold the in half first. So this is the 4 1/4 line. So just fold that. And then you have a card that's like this. So then you're going to take this fold right here, the second one that you did, and you're going to fold it the opposite way. So you're going to fold it back like this. So now if you take this card and you hold it up, it's a Z. It's a Z. See? It's a Z. A Z with a little longer line, but it's still a Z. Then you're going to take the smaller one that you did and you're going to fold it in half. It's not going to be completely in half because this is a shorter piece of paper, but the second fold line, you're going to fold it like that. And then you're going to take this piece and fold it the opposite way, just like you did the other one. And now you have a second Z fold. So you have two that look almost the same, but one is smaller than the other. So then they're going to overlay on top of each other like this. So you're going to end up with two of them on top of each other like this. See? Double Z. Can you see that? But tonight we're going to actually add a panel on top of our top Z fold to make it look a little different. So we'll add this one. See how that mats on that blue like that? So when this is attached and we open up our Z fold, we will have the Z fold plus the top panel. Okay? So my only problem is I just discovered there's something on the back of my top panel, and we can't be having that because you'll be able to see that when you open the card. So I need to find a panel that I have and cut it down that doesn't have anything on the back. There we go. So let me just cut this one down real quick to the same size as the mat. So 3. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. By 4 1/4. I didn't realize that was going to make a big difference. But it's that piece. I just picked this one because it was thicker, but I don't want you to be able to see what's on the back of it when you open the card. So we definitely have to take care of that. Now my biggest suggestion is put the pattern papers that you're going to use on this piece before you attach anything. Otherwise you can't put it on there. So this is the bottom piece, the one that I want to go right here. Okay. So I'm just going to glue that one on. I need to refill my glues again already. And look at the back, it's pretty cool too. Maybe I'll, yeah, no, I want it like this. It's pretty cool. All right, so both of them are cool. It's hard to decide which side you want to put down. You just kind of want to put them both down. I will tell you, Barely Art glue is amazing and comes out really good. But when it starts getting low on glue, you have to squeeze the bottle pretty hard. So I usually fill them up when they get about halfway. And then they're always easy to squeeze. So if you need to know that tip, because yours gets like that, if you just go ahead and buy a refill and fill it up, you won't have that problem. Look at that slippery little sucker. Let me just add a little bit more, just because it looks like it's dry. And that is the reason why I usually say flip it over when you use this tool, because then that won't happen to you. You'll get a really good hold on it, and then you won't have to worry about that happening. That slippery little sucker. Okay, now the other piece is this piece, and I cut it from the same thing, so it's pretty close to that one. I want it to be over here. I want to keep my colors similar because they'll sit like this. See, that looks pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on top. I told you this card would come together super fast. It's not a hard card at all. Now, I will tell you, when I went to the Paper Ganza, which is the Craft Roulette in-person retreat, which they have another one coming up next year, but when I went to that one in 2025, they called for a Z fold and I didn't know what it was, and somebody had to show me. My friend sitting next to me showed me how to make it, and I was like, that's it, that's so easy, are you sure that's all you have to do? She was like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, sweet. So I'm just redoing my folds because I had flattened it out. And now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to add my papers to this one. So I want, oh, I got a big blob of glue on that. I want the one that has more of the moon to have the astronaut. So see how this one shows more of a planet? I want the astronaut to be on that one. And I want this one to have the rocket, because I'm going to say shoot for the stars. And you can see more stars in there. So I'm going to save that one. And I'm going to put this one on the inside right here. And I could go with all these colors all over the place, but I wanted to mix it up, and that's the reason why I make the double-sided paper, so you can mix it all up however you want. But I love this paper. It's such a, gives you such a wow factor when you make a card with it. It's so bright and vibrant. Okay. So now I have that part on there, but I don't want to put anything on this top part because we're going to put this whole panel on there. So I'm going to glue this panel to the mat, and I could have done this one in blue as well, but I wanted it to stand out so I could explain it to you guys, and I thought white would still look good. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put this one on top. When you have it where you want it, just flip it over. I tend to throw these little soda presses all over my desk when I'm crafting. I get overexcited and I just start tossing them everywhere. Okay, now we have these pieces right here, and we need to put our pieces, our little guys on there. So I'm going to do that before I put them on. I'm going to decorate my cards before I put that on. So this little guy is going to go on this piece, but I want to make sure that he's covered when the card is closed. So I'm going to be placing this somewhere about right there. So the top one will be there. So when I open it, I have a bit of a Z fold there. So I want this guy to be on this side, so you can't see him when I close it. So I'm going to put him on that other side. And yes, all of this would look good on a wobble. I think I've done it before on a live. Okay, so this puts him on the moon. He's going to shoot for the stars, but he landed on the moon. And then I'm going to flip it over. Sit on there. It's a really good idea if you're going to stamp the back of your card, if you do it right now before you have any layers on there, because then you won't mess anything up. All right, and then this one is the one that's going to be on the front, and I want the rocket ship on there. And I'm okay with it hanging off because it's only going to be about here. So even if it hangs off of the card, off of this card, it's not going to hang off the regular card. So I want the sentiment on it as well. Do I want it that way? I probably want it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on there. And then we'll put the shoot for the stars sentiment on there. So here we go. Want it to be a little bit crooked, but not really crooked. Probably didn't need to put any glue at the bottom of this. All right. And then we have a sentiment called Shoot for the Stars that I want to put right here. And that worked out perfectly, the size and everything. We're really glad that work panned out very nicely. I'm going to place that right here. I used blue ink, that blue VersaFine ink I have, so that it would be, the sentiment would be in blue instead of black. Not sure if you can tell that on camera, but that's a lot easier of a card fold. Thanks for teaching it tonight. Oh yeah, it's a lot easier than you think. That's what I thought anyway. So it's up to you. I usually glue this base down first. So it's kind of up to you. The closer that you put it to the inside of your card, the smaller your Z. The further out you do it, the bigger, the wider your Z. And I like my Z pretty wide, so I'm going to place that glue on just on this one panel. And then I'm going to decide exactly where I want that to be, how far away. And then I'm going to put it on there. And I really like that even though some of the colors are getting covered up, when this closes, this is going to look like smoky fire from the rocket, which I'm really excited about that. So there we go. I feel like I have it on there fairly straight the way that I want it. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to press that on there. And then the really easy part is close everything. And then just glue this while it's closed. So just put glue on the end, like maybe a third of it, of the panel, because that's pretty much all you'll need. And then just close it like that. Doesn't have to be all the way, and definitely don't do the whole piece because you'll close it together and then it won't open. And then you have this part done. That's the easy part. And then this piece, we're just going to put this piece on this panel right here. So, but it's going to have a border, so I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm just going to go in this center area right here. And I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to stick it right here. I'm going to give it a second for the glue to grab. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to press it again. Make sure I got a good hold there. And then I'm going to flip it over. You can't see him. Now you can see him. Can't see him? And you can put whatever you want on your sentiments, but it's so cute. It's so easy. That's it. That's all you have to do. And the measurements were easy. And for Craft Roulette, it had to be a double Z is the project. So this is a double Z. We went over how that goes. Rudolph colors, so red for his nose and black for the hooves and blue for the sky where he is and also where the northern lights are. And then same colors on the inside. Optimistic is shoot for the stars. And then plain circle or circles are these. There's nothing on them. They're just plain circles. And that covers all the parameters. So now I can submit it. That's why yours didn't work. You glued it shut. Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I love this Z fold a lot. And when you don't know how it works, it's hard because you just can't, if you're not I'm a hands-on person. So visually, when somebody tells me, I just can't see it until I do it. So, but yeah, it's really easy. One more time, these are the measurements. If you want to take a snap of it, you can. Give credit. Photo Play taught Sandy. Sandy taught me. So there you go. Sandy McFarland. So yeah. And this is the one that she taught me how to do it with this one. So, and we just made it now like this. This is a really cute little boy birthday card too. Anywho, if you want to win this card and you haven't typed the word star, you need to type the word star in the comments. I will photograph it for Craft Roulette, post it tonight as soon as the live is over, and then I'll put everybody's name in for a drawing, and you guys can win the card. This will be the last night for winning the card because we only did that in December. It doesn't mean that I won't randomly do that. But we'll be back to January stuff starting with Tuesday of next week. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Good night. Love you guys. Happy New Year.